On this week's live stream, savvy young hackers are cracking open Scratch files, and we're going to show you how they do it. David shows you how to create cool motion trails in your Scratch games. And meet our Scratcher of the Week and check out his insane cartoon work. All this and more coming up on the Chromeworks live stream. Whoa, good morning, Internet. It's Mr. T back with another Chromeworks live stream. We got lots of great content for you today. My co-op students have been working overtime, slaving away in the video making mills, making projects for you guys. And I'm also going to give you guys a little look again at Squid Game, my famous Squid Game project, which is going to just about ready for release. I'm going to be releasing it hopefully this weekend. A few more little minor bugs to knock out and some extra features I want to toss in. I'm putting out part 2 of my tutorial this week, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. So today I wanted to have a chat about hacking Scratch. Now, this is something I didn't even know was possible until a little while ago, but it's actually a really interesting topic. So it involves a little bit of JavaScript, and we're not going to do any JavaScript coding today. And I think a lot of this is basically beyond the pay grade of your average, 10, 11, 12-year-old who's doing this. But today I'm going to show you some very simple things that you can do to get into Scratch and modify some of the files around. So we'll talk about that in just a second, and I will have 1 or 2 activities that you can do yourself and try at home that aren't that difficult at all. Okay, well, let's first have a look at who's online with us. So over on YouTube, I'm joined by, I don't think there's a real way to pronounce this name, Rookvim, who said hello a little while ago. Please let us know where you're from and how old you are if you're around. And I'm joined, as usual, by Top Secret Asian, who's moderating over on the YouTube. And David, you need to mute your microphone, please, sir. All right. Anyway, meanwhile, over on Discord, we have a bunch of people with us today, including my co-op student, David. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
So you were working hard this week. Tell us all about the kind of stuff you've been doing with Chromeworks Co-op this week.
Okay, so this week I was working on a multiplayer maze game for Scratch.
And we're looking forward to seeing that in a few weeks. It looks like you had some technical issues, but it looks like you're finally sorting them out, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, we are hoping to bring you this tutorial in the next couple of weeks, a multiplayer maze game for Scratch. So looking forward to that. And David also did a really fun little mini tutorial for us on how to create motion trails behind your characters in Scratch. So I'm going to be bringing that to you in a little bit as well. Thanks, David. I'm joined also by funny animator Jim from upstate New York. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mr.
So Jim was hard at work with David, helping to coach him on a couple of coding issues this morning. And are you working on anything in Scratch nowadays, Jim, or are you too busy with school?
Yeah, I have been more focused on my schoolwork nowadays and other things.
Shame.
I mean, I do hope to. Yeah, but I mean, I do hope to eventually share some more projects, maybe in animation. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, we were doing the cloud thing. The cloud maze game sounds like a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And
I'm looking forward to seeing that. David's hard at work on that. He's taking some code from GriffPatch, the famous Scratcher, and kind of modifying it to turn it into a multiplayer game. So I'm curious about how that goes. I have had lots and lots of feedback on multiplayer gaming. The one tutorial I did a few months ago has become one of my top viewed videos. So it seems like a topic that there's endless thirst for in the Scratch community. Okay, so I'm also joined by Crazy Kirby Boy, Thane from Florida. Good morning, Thane.
Good morning, Mr. T.
So Thane's been working on a red light, green light Squid Game, and I'm going to show it to you in a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you made this over the course of like just 24 hours or so, did you?
Yeah, so I started this project about sometime around yesterday noon, but then I had to leave to go to drama class.
Hmm.
So then I worked on it from like 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, and then I've been working on it since about 9 o'clock this morning.
Well, that's a fun little project. Anyway, I actually had a lot of fun looking at it this morning. It's very clever. So I'm going to show it in a little bit. We're also joined by Deck from London, England. Good morning, Deck, or good afternoon, Deck.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. Anything new with you? Are you working on anything?
Yeah, I'm working on a spelling game.
Oh, a spelling bee. Yeah, we talked about this a couple of days ago, so that's very exciting. And it's going to have customizable word difficulty, right? Is that the way? Are you going to code that into it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, looking forward to seeing that someday. And so when you get that ready, we'll be happy to show it on the stream. Okay, let's get to today's order of business, which is hacking Scratch. I'm going to go over to my other screen here and let's see what's up. All right, so I got interested in this topic when I pulled up this project that I just saw in my travels on Scratch by a scratcher by the name of Blazing Wind. Now, I doubt that most of this code is his. It looks like he's collected together a bunch of stuff that other users have done. But let's go have a look and see some of the suggestions in here. I've made some modifications to the code here, so doesn't look exactly the way that it would look when you pull up the file. Actually, I am going to share this with you guys right now. I'm going to share it in the YouTube chat and in Discord. If anyone else wants to pull up this project, you're welcome to have a look at it. There we go. So hacking Scratch just basically means going into the actual code for a particular project, making some modifications, and resaving the project and importing it back into Scratch again. Now, it turns out with some very minor changes, you can do stuff that shouldn't be possible in Scratch. For example, when you grab an event button here, like this one that says when space key pressed, there is no enter key available here. There's a whole bunch of different options, but none of them are enter keys. So in Scratch games, you should not be able to detect when the enter key is pressed. And yet, strangely, here is a block that says when enter key pressed. So how on earth did that happen? This is someone going into a file in Scratch, making some modifications, and then you can share that with other users. So this block, you can backpack it and use it forevermore now. And even though the Scratch team doesn't really think it's worth you saying when I hit the enter key something happens, you now have the ability to do this just by taking this block and backpacking it. A whole bunch of other...
It really does work. I just tested it right now.
Yeah,
It really does
exactly.
work.
So if you want to test it now, for example, we can hold down the enter key on my keyboard. So I'll give you an example of how I would test it. Let me just get like a sound effects file or something here, like my meow here, for example. And so when I hit the enter key on my keyboard, it makes a meow sound, which is just weird. So this just seemed almost magical to me when I saw it. I want to show you some other examples that he set up here. There's no such thing as switch costume to previous costume, for example, here. There is a next costume, but if you want to do previous costume, I've had to do all kinds of hacking or not hacking, but clever coding to get it to go to costume number -1 or whatever. But this actual previous costume works. So let me hide this list here and show you what's going on here. So I've got costume 2. I've got 3 costumes set up for this cat here just to demo this. And you can see when I click next costume, it goes to costume 1, costume 2, costume 3. And when I go previous costume, it goes 2, 1, and then back to 3 again. So this actually works, as the note on the side says. There's a funny little microbit project here that you can use to draw stuff. It doesn't really do a lot of good here unless you actually have a microbit. There's a few other examples here. So in the music plugin, when you want to set an instrument, you normally have to select it by name from this menu here, but with this hacked version of the block, you can just enter a number here, which means that you can use a variable to select instrument number 111 or whatever that is. So, Fun Animator Jim said when he loaded the project, it asked you if you wanted to use the camera. Yes, that is in fact the case, because there is a camera project here. There's one here, down here, that turns your video sideways. Isn't that wacky? Now, I don't have my camera enabled. It turns out I need two cameras to make this go inside of Scratch, because I'm already using my one camera to display video. So I don't have my second camera, and I can't show that to you today, but this apparently turns your camera view sideways. There's a whole bunch of other stuff here, and I would recommend you guys have a look. Here's some list variable functions here that have been hacked. Let me show you how those work. I just created a random list of fruits here up on the screen. You can see them up on the right hand side here. So if here's a new custom block that gives you a random item from that list. So instead of going item, pick random length of list, which is what I would normally do to pick a random item from a list, this one block handles it all, and it's giving me random fruits from my list here. Mango, 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 grape. Okay. All right, I thought it was broken for a second there. Peach, and there you get the idea. This one tells you the last item on the list, which is in fact mango. This one deletes a random item from a list, which is kind of cool. I'm not quite sure what kind of game project you'd need that for, but there's certainly some things you can do with that. And delete the list from the last item up as well. That's another cool feature there. So these are all really, really neat functions. I wanted to give you guys just a quick overview. The easiest one, and the one I've seen in most of the tutorials, is this one when Enter key pressed. I'm going to walk you guys through how I would go about making that, and it's actually not as hard as you'd think it would be. So here's a little blank project called Hacking Test. All it is a project with a when space key pressed in it. It's important when you're playing around with hacking the first time to keep your files as the minimal size possible, because the more blocks you have on the screen, the more complicated the process of figuring out where to do stuff is. So I'm going to walk you through this, and I would recommend you do the same thing if you're working on a file, which is just get up the one block that you want to hack and leave everything else off the screen for now until we're ready to play around with it. Hey, we're joined by Grayson over on Discord. Good morning, Grayson. It's so nice you could make it today.
Hello.
What are you working on lately, Grayson?
Remember the rhythm game I said I was working on?
Rhythm game? Oh yeah, okay.
I work on it, and I'm in good news. I'm almost finished with it.
Oh, good.
So, in like a week or so.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, please share that with us when you get a minute, and like when you're done, and I'll be happy to show it on the stream, Grayson. All right, back to business here. So I want to create a when enter key pressed here thing. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is save this file onto my computer so that I can modify it. Let's just do a file, save to your computer. I'm just going to save it into a folder here called Hacking Test. I've actually gone ahead and done that already, but let's just do another one here. So I'll call this Hacking Test New. There we go. So the file is actually sitting on my computer now, and let's call it up. Here it is, Hacking Test New. It's a .sb3 file, which is the format that Scratch uses for its files. But one little known fact here is that an SB3 file is just a fancy kind of zip file. Zip being a way that you can collect a whole bunch of files together and make them smaller in size. Most of
Excuse me?
Yes?
Can we have the, can we try to test this out? Can
Yeah,
we,
you
try
can.
To follow?
So you don't need to use my file thing. All you have to do is just grab a blank Scratch file and and put down a when space key pressed, and you can start working from there, okay?
Yeah, a couple months ago
Okay.
I found out that SB3 files are literally just zip files.
Yeah, they're literally zip
Just
files.
renamed.
I didn't know this until just a little while ago, Grayson.
No, I didn't know this until late 2020.
Yeah. So let me rename this file and turn it into a zip file. And that's all it takes really to turn into a zip file because it's already in the right format. It's just that Windows or your Mac OS doesn't recognize it as a zip file because it looks at that last three letters to figure out how it's going to open a file. So when I change the name to zip, I get a little error message here saying this might cause my file to be unusable. Are you sure? And I'm just going to say yes, I do actually want to change it in this case. And you can see that right away the icon changes. Now I use an unzipper program called WinRAR. Yours might look a little different if you're using a different zip program like WinZip or 7-Zip. I think that's another one anyway. But they all basically work the same way. I'm going to double click on the file now to open it up. And oh, it's open up in a different window here. So let me unzoom here. So here's my WinRAR program. And you can see inside a listing here of all the files that are inside it. So there's an SVG file here, which is just basically the picture of my cat in SVG format. There's a couple of WAV files here that are also part of the thing. So there are 3 different images. Probably my background is one of them as well, if it's one of those. And there's a couple of WAV files here. But this little project.json is the one I'm interested in. That is a JavaScript file. And if I double click on it, I can open it up in a text editor here. Let me show you what that looks like on the inside. It looks like a whole bunch of gobbledygook. This is coding in JavaScript here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you don't actually have to know JavaScript to make some minor changes to this. So if you can find the spot in the code where we've added the when space key pressed item here, we can make changes to it. So let's go back into the text file here. Let's zoom in just a little bit. And so I'm going to just do a little search here and find out where the word space is in the project. So I'm going to go find space, find, and there it is. So this part of the code, key option space null, is where the reference to the space key is in the code. So I can make changes to that and do any key, well, any one of a number of keys. There's some keys that absolutely won't work here, like escape, control, and alt. I've played around with all of those and could not get any of them working. And apparently it's been set up inside Scratch so that you can't use those. But enter will work, so I'm just going to rename this enter. I'm going to save my file now. Now,
have you tried shift and period and comma?
So
or
punctuation does work, Jim, but I'm pretty sure that shift doesn't. I played around with shift and I don't think it works. But yeah, most punctuation and funny symbols like brackets and squiggly brackets and stuff like that, they all work fine. Okay, so do you wish to update it? So so my WinRAR program here has detected that I made changes to this JSON file. It's asking me, do you want to update it? I'm going to say yes. And so the new updated version of my JSON file is now part of that zip archive. Now I've got to go back and change this back into an SB3 file. So let's open up that folder. And where did that go? Right here. And there's my zip file. So I'm going to rename it as a .sb3 file. You have to be very careful about this. If you do this wrong, it's not going to work. Then I go yes. Okay, now we want to bring the file back into Scratch again. So let's go File, Load from your computer. And let's find my program here. It's called Hack. Where did it go? Oh, it's not here. I'm in the wrong folder. Sorry. Remember the wrong folder here. Hacking test new. There it is. And it's asking me, do I want to replace the contents? Yes, I do. And there we go. Now I have an enter key pressed. And let's test it out again. I'll just attach a sound file to it. Hit my enter key. Very cool. So that actually works, believe it or not.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so you've never seen that before, Jim?
I have seen it, I just didn't know it was that easy to do.
Yeah, it's not that hard at all. Now, a lot of these probably have much more complex coding in them, and some of them do some really neat stuff here. Like, for example...
Excuse me, Mr. T?
Yeah?
So I tried doing it. I saved it in the code and it says enter, but for some reason it won't work on my project.
Did you put a capital letter and enter maybe?
No, I didn't. It says enter.
All right. Well, I've tested this a bunch of times. I'd have to have a look at your code, dude, to try and fix this. I've tested it a bunch of times and it does in fact work. So I'm
In
not.
theory, you could like add backspace keys and special letters with this.
Yeah, so there's a
And
bunch
there
of
is a
stuff.
way you can add enter key functionality without the JSON modifying
Yeah,
by
there's a
like
way to
a
do it with
join
a
block.
join command. I was going to show that next, actually, Grayson. Is that what you were talking about, using a join command inside the? Okay, I'm gonna,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm going to show
Oh
that in
yeah,
just
there
a
used
second.
to.
Sorry, what? Jim?
Yeah, I was gonna say sometimes people put a join block inside the key pressed, and then put one of them as a blank and the other one. Some keys, I forget which keys exactly work with that.
Yeah,
But some of them do, or they used to. I'm not sure.
but
yeah.
some don't.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky thing anyway. But let me show you that really quickly here. So if I go if key pressed key space pressed or whatever, and we'll just go say something, say hello or whatever. So I'm gonna put this inside a loop and attach a green flag to it. Now, instead of going key space here, I want to try using like a bracket key or something to do that. And that's one of the keys that's not available on this list here. But if I grab the space key here and add a join command, so let's grab a join command from the text. And I don't even understand why this works exactly. But now on the left-hand side, I'm going to put the key I want to experiment with, which is the square black bracket on the left here. And I'm going to leave a space here in the second. And I don't know why the space is important to this process here. But if I go ahead and click the green flag now, when I hit my square bracket, it says hello. And that even works with the shift key version of it. So if I use the curly bracket here, for example, and then when I hit the square bracket, it doesn't work. But if I hold down the shift key, I get the hello when I type this with a curly bracket. So if you want to know what keys you can hack and which ones you can't, this is probably one way to figure that out. So we can try stuff like punctuation, for example. Let's try a period here and see how that works. Period. Yeah, that one works as well. Interesting. So this is.
I was gonna say, I wonder. I was gonna say, I wonder if you could make a shift detector from this, like you detect if they're pressing the bracket key but not pressing the curly bracket. I guess that wouldn't really work. But
Yeah,
you see where I was going with that?
yeah, I do. So something that detects whether the shift key is pressed, and that would give you a whole bunch of new keystrokes that you could use in Scratch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to do some playing around with that. If you can figure that out, I'd be very happy to show it on the stream anyway.
I'm pretty sure that the join block, it's just making a string of the keys, right? And then if that goes in the same where we replaced space with enter in the JavaScript,
Yeah.
it's just replacing the string. So I'm pretty sure that's why it works. Can you drag that join block into the yellow block that when enter key pressed?
Yeah, let's try that. Sorry, the one in the hacked file here? Oh, went to this one
Yeah,
here.
or
Yeah.
make a new one. Oh, you can't.
You
Okay.
can't. Yeah, it doesn't appear to take inputs like that. That's interesting. So even if I use the original unaltered one, I don't think it lets you know. No, it's
Yeah, that's interesting.
it is a square pull down menu, right? And usually with these square ones, you're not allowed to add inputs to them. I think they have to be round edged for you to. The shapes are very important in Scratch, it turns out, and so that's.
Can you put a diamond in the when key space press?
I don't think so. Let's have a look. When. Yeah, no, that doesn't work either.
Yeah, you can't. You can put a diamond in a circle, right?
I think so. Let's try. Yeah, you can put a diamond in a circle. Okay, I did not know that either. Okay, we're learning all kinds of stuff today. Um, anyway, so I wanted to give you guys some thoughts about hacking Scratch a little bit more. I don't have a full set of instructions, and I've been looking all over the internet for tutorials and stuff on how to do this, and they're very, very limited. So it seems like most people have just who have a little bit of knowledge of JavaScript have been in there fiddling around with this stuff. I think the best way to learn this stuff, if you're really interested in this, is just have a look at some of these finished files here. Like, for example, one of these ones here that has to, like the previous costume one, for example. What I would do if I was trying to figure this out is I would drag it into my backpack and then open it up in a brand new file. So that's the only, so that's the only block that's in that script. And then you should be able to find it carefully and then see what it is that the person did to modify the text. Have a look at the normal block that he modified, and have a look at the modified version of the script. And you can basically, by a process of elimination, figure out what the person did to change the code. And by doing that, you'll eventually, hopefully, learn enough that you can try and come up with your own different ideas for how to hack code. So you really don't need to know a lot of JavaScript to do this. I would imagine that it's mostly just search and replace or modifying other people's code. But do start with this project here by Blazing Wind. And if you just search up hacked blocks inside the Scratch editor, you'll also find a whole bunch of other projects. There's some cool stuff in here that's really, really neat, actually. I'm really impressed by this. Another one I wanted to show you is when this sprite touches mouse pointer. Really cool. So you can actually have a sprite detecting that you're moving your mouse over it without putting it inside a loop. And this works sometimes and it doesn't. So let me try attaching a start sound meow to this. And you can see I don't even have to run the program. I think even if the program stopped, it still works. Yeah. So this doesn't even need a green flag to run, strangely enough. I just have to move my mouse on top of the cat and then it starts to make the meow. Really, really cool. Let's have a look over on YouTube here. Requiem has said there's a good tutorial on multiplayer games that GriffPatch has done. Yeah, we're actually using that tutorial and having a look at it for our own work. There's no use reinventing the wheel with some of this stuff. And GriffPatch, I want to give this guy a plug. He's one of the original Scratchers. He's made some of the most popular projects in Scratch, and he's doing some really amazing tutorials. So I've been learning a lot by watching his tutorials. So as much as I hate to plug competing channels, I want to tell you guys that GriffPatch has some amazing work. And if you're interested in doing more multiplayer gaming, his tutorial series on that is fantastic and will really teach you a lot. Really, all his tutorials are really, really great. So I would toss you that way. Who else? We've got a couple of other people chatting on YouTube here, including someone called Free to Use Gameplay Videos is saying, yo, what's up? Tell us a little bit about who you are, and we'll give you a shout out on the stream here. Okay, so I think that's all I want to say about hacked blocks right now. I'd love to see if any of the rest of you come up with anything, or if anyone can make anything new. I'd be very happy to show it on the stream next week. So drop me a comment in this file, or share a Scratch file with me. You can always email me, of course, as well at, where's my email thing? I can never find it when I need it. Here it is. info@chromeworks.ca if you want to share anything with me, or you have anything interesting you want me to look at. So I'll be happy to do that. All right, so
I'm just curious why I haven't heard as much about hack blocks in 3.0 as opposed to 2.0. I mean, especially now, like this is the first major time I've heard much about hack blocks in 3.0.
Well,
I know that a lot of people used to make popular games in 2.0 with using hack blocks that are broken now because Scratch apparently patched them, right?
Yes.
And so now, if there are still hacked blocks available, I'm wondering like if the Scratch team is going to have a problem with the hack blocks, because that project is pretty recent, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
I mean, we'll have to see in a month if anything happens.
Structure
Yeah,
in
sorry.
3.0 is probably different than like 2.0, so
Yeah.
that's probably why, and they
So-
probably patched the stuff.
Yeah, so all the any projects you find that are 2.0 Scratch version projects that have hacks in them will no longer work. It seems, or most of them won't anyway. And I've called up a bunch of these when I was looking at hack projects, and a lot of them just don't work anymore. So, but it appears that they haven't. You're right, Jim, that uh, they haven't wiped out all the new ones yet, and this is a brand new project, and I've tested out most of these hacks, and they all still appear to work. So, yeah, I don't know if this is something that really troubles the Scratch team or not. I don't think there's too much possibility of getting into any trouble here because Scratch doesn't have access to your file systems and stuff, so it can't actually go in and modify your Windows file or do any kind of virus type behavior. The only thing you can really do is change stuff within the Scratch environment, which isn't. I don't think it's that dangerous, but I guess
It's not too destructive. All you're doing is basically just changing how it functions
yeah, you're really
and just like new keyboard inputs.
Yeah, you're right, Grayson. We're just changing the stuff inside the Scratch editor for this one project. There's nothing that you can do that has any impact beyond this particular project and beyond the user who's on there. And it can't. It's a little kind of walled garden in here that is very safe. So nothing that you do inside Scratch can affect stuff in the rest of your computer. So yeah, I don't know if this is something that the Scratch team is concerned about, but I doubt that just based on what I know about coding, I doubt there's very much danger to running these files. Okay, so you can see the Squid Game logo behind me here. I just wanted to give you guys an update on my Squid Game. At 11 o'clock, I'm releasing part 2 of my tutorial series, where I've been making a really awesome red light, green light game for Scratch. In part 1, we got our character kind of moving around in this scrolling environment, and that was working quite nicely. In part 2, we finish up most of the rest of the game. So we basically have a fully functional single-player game after you follow this tutorial. So you'll be able to run with your character. The creepy doll will turn around and sing her creepy song and turn her head and eliminate you if you move. And so everything works perfectly now. The only thing that's missing is AI, and that's a little bit more complicated, so I'm going to do that over in part 3. I'm just about ready to release this game. Let me get back to my other screen here. I'm just about ready to release this game in the Scratch community. I think this weekend I will have the last bugs worked out of here. This is this version 4.0. It's still not shared yet, but I've been playing around with it and making changes, and it's looking pretty good now. I added a couple of other features since the last time that you saw. Oh, they're still not implemented in this version either. Based on some advice, Jim gave me some good advice on how to solve this as well. And so I've made some visual changes and some other minor coding changes. You can see in the final version of the game that we're going to work on next week that the characters all kind of run around and they bump into each other, and we get all kinds of chaos here. And anyway, there's a bunch of stuff going on here. I just got killed, but so I'm very happy with this game so far. As I said, there's just a couple little issues that I need to deal with, and then I will be ready to release it in the Scratch community. Very excited about this release. Just looking at the chat here. Anyway, okay, so nothing much interesting happening in the chat. I wanted to show you guys some other. I invited you guys last week to share with me any other Squid Game projects that you've seen that are interesting. And lo and behold, Thane actually put together his own project. So let's have a look at Thane's project right now. Thane, are you on the line?
Here I am.
Yeah, so give me a little walkthrough of how this game works, buddy.
Alright, so I made a Squid Game. And basically, 150 players spawn. You are one of the players.
That's a
and
lot
you
of
gotta press the
players.
D to move.
D.
And if you don't make it before the time runs out, you die. Or if you move while she's looking at you.
Hey, I like your little girl. It actually the little subtle shift in the costume is actually quite cool. So you've got 150 characters, and are they randomly getting killed, or how's that working?
They're randomly getting killed. There's a chance of 1 out of 15 that they'll get killed.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think I'm going to make it before the deadline here. So when they touch the
Yeah.
line, they delete the clone? Is that it?
Yeah, and they basically survive.
All right. I don't think I'm going to make it before the deadline here, dude.
Oh.
Oh, no. Nice animation on the character, too. There I am. I'm dead. The timer ran out. Better luck
Yeah,
next
better
time.
luck next time, Mr. D.
So this is a fun little project. I'm really impressed by how quickly
Yeah.
you turned this around, Thane. So really nice.
I did,
Sorry.
yeah, I did this project in my combined hours, probably took 6 hours maybe.
Okay. Wow.
Like that.
And yeah, you got some custom blocks in here and all kinds of interesting
Yeah.
coding. Well, it looks like you're
So,
using a lot of if-else statements for without an else in it, though, eh? That's a
Yeah,
bit
I was going. Yeah, I wanted to save time, so I didn't get rid of the else statements because that would just waste time.
Do you have Scratch add-ons on?
Scratch add-ons.
Yeah, he
no.
does because of the.
You can right-click, click if. See right
Yeah. So I've got Scratch add-ons loaded. That is.
Yeah, I don't have Scratch add-ons on my Chromebook, but I do have it on my computer.
Let me show that to you guys. So I have an if-else statement here. I want to convert it to an if statement. I just right-click and select if, and I can turn it back and forth. Just one of the many magical little Scratch hacks that are enabled inside of Scratch add-ons, which I plugged in another episode as well. That's a Chrome
Yeah.
add-on, and it's pretty easy to find. Just search go to the Chrome Web Store and search for Scratch add-ons. A really handy little tool, and I talked about it at length in an earlier episode. So
So
And I'm also going to be adding the other games too. So I'm gonna add games, all the games. Right now I'm doing game 2 in a separate project,
okay.
so that people can still enjoy this without like any bugs happening from game 2.
Okay. Grayson, did you want to say something?
So basically, how my version is going to work is basically once the round progresses, the sound actually gets faster. So
You know, we looked at another
Like
project
that.
last week where the same thing was happening, where the person was playing around with that audio clip and making the little girl talk faster and faster. Yeah. So you're doing the same thing in yours, eh?
yeah,
All right.
I just
Well,
added the audio in Audacity to make it faster.
yeah. Well, you can do that right in the Scratch editor as well, though, right? Just using coding commands.
Right, but it just changes like the pitch of the voice.
But oh yeah, oh I see. So if you wanted to go faster without changing the pitch, there is a way to do that in Audacity, right? Is that what you're doing?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right. So it doesn't change the
Kind
pitch.
of how the Roblox version works.
The Roblox version of it. I haven't played the Roblox.
Yeah, there's a Roblox Squid Game.
I've heard of it, but I haven't actually seen it yet, and that's kind of. Is it multiplayer?
Yeah, it's multiplayer.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Has it? So you played it? You found it enjoyable?
Yeah,
Cool.
pretty accurate recreation of Squid Game.
Cool. Well, we should check that out. Maybe I'll get one of my co-op students to look at it this week and do a little report on it. That sounds like a fun thing to do. Okay, so I had one more Squid Game project I wanted to show you. This one was shared to me. It's by a coder named Max TPL, and I was alerted to it by Deck, who has been looking around for me, who took my request seriously to go look for Squid Game projects. So he found this one for me, and it's another quite fun take on red light, green light. Let me show you this version. There's also, I think if you win this challenge, you can also get to the cookie challenge from here as well, but I haven't gotten that far in the game here. Anyway, what I like about this project is it uses the speech recognition.
Welcome to Squid Game. Today you will be playing red light, green light. When it says green light, move. When it says red light.
This is a little ominous. I actually
if you're
like
not
that.
stopped
It
when
sounds a
it
lot
says
like
red
the
light, you will be eliminated. Three,
one of the
two,
characters from Squid
one.
Game. Okay, let's give this a
Begin.
try here.
Green light.
And he obviously recorded his own
Red light.
voice.
Green light.
Yeah, I like the little costume here. A nice
Red
little
light.
animation. Let me see if I can win this one.
Green light. Red light. Green light.
Nice.
Red light.
I love the tree. I love the animation.
Green light.
I love. This is actually a really
Red
good
light.
recreation of the actual set from the game too. Like way more accurate
Green
than
light.
mine from the show. Sorry.
Welcome
And there we
to
go.
Game 2. I'm surprised to see you here. In this game, you will pick a shape and cut out that shape. If
And
you crack the shape, you will be eliminated.
here's
Use
the
arrow
cookie
keys to control
challenge.
the needle.
I haven't even
Begin.
tried this one yet, so let's see what we can do here. I'm not even sure how to do this. Does anyone know what I'm supposed to do here? No. All right. Anyway, I think this
I
one.
think you're supposed to cut inside.
Yeah, I know
the
you're supposed to
other-
cut around the cookie, but I don't see a needle or anything that I can use to cut the cookie
Oh,
here.
it's the Grayson. I think it's the gray.
Pardon me, Deck?
I think it's the gray string thing.
The string thing.
Yeah, the gray next
Gray
to the
thing,
green.
but should I be able to pick it up or something?
Yeah, I think he should be.
I don't think I can though. Very weird. Say so hi to a couple of our users on YouTube. Hi to Insane and hello to Frosty. Hello guys, welcome to the stream. If you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, we don't need to know any personal information, but we're always curious about where our viewers come from. So tell us what country you're from or what city you're from, if you're from around these parts, and we just kind of want to know who's watching us. All right, so this game seems to have some issues, and not really going to show it much further here anyway. All right, so you guys stay tuned. I will make an announcement when my Squid Game is ready for release, and that should be coming out this weekend. My video series is doing really well. It's one of my fastest growing video series ever. I'm at over 2,000 views on it right now, which is really great for a project like this. So I think there's lots of room to grow, especially once my game is released. So stay tuned for that. It's coming out really soon, guys. So Frosty says he's from Texas, and he's a scratcher like me. Well, hi, Frosty. Nice to meet you. I don't think I've ever had a viewer from Texas, not one who admitted it anyway. Insane, tell us where you're from if you're still on there. All right, guys, I got some of my co-op student content to show you today. I want to start off with David's project. I asked him to have a look at to basically take a deep dive into a little bit of code from a fun game project. I told him pick a game project and find something cool in it and teach us how to do it. And so David picked a platformer game. Let me show it to you. This is a fairly famous platformer game called, where is it? Dream. Here it is, and you guys might have played it before. It's a fun little platform, and yeah, we really liked the trail effect in here. So I asked David to have a look at that and do a little coding tutorial for me. So I'm going to show you that right now.
Today, I'm going to talk about a game that I was referred to called Dream. Dream is a fairly simple game in which you jump through levels as a red cube, avoiding spikes as you go. As I played, I found an interesting trail effect which I noticed while playing. Today, I'm going to show you how to code that trail effect. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how you can program this trail effect yourself in Scratch. Now, as you can see, I have a very basic script here. It allows the Scratch Cat to move around the screen, nothing too fancy. He has gravity, but that's about it. We're going to start with one green flag clicked, and with that one green flag clicked, we're going to have a forever loop. Inside this forever loop, we are going to have create clone of myself happening infinitely, so the Scratch Cat will infinitely create clones. Most of the programming happens inside the clones. What you want is a repeat 20. And with this repeat 20, you are going to have the clones gradually change their ghost effect by 5, which means they will become less visible as you play. After they become completely invisible, we are going to delete the clones so as to not lag the system. And as you'll be able to see in just a moment, this is what we get. As you can see here, the Scratch Cat now has a very nice trail effect that moves behind it. It works very fluently, it looks very nice, and it would be perfect for any platformer that you would like to design yourself using this trail effect. Another thing that you can try considering is that you can actually change the numbers inside the program. Instead of using Ghost 5, you can use Ghost 20, which will reduce the amount of clones that are generated with the trail effect as well. You could also change the amount of times the program repeats itself before the clones disappear, which again will modify the length of the trail effect that you see. Either way, it's really up to you, and it works regardless. Alright, so now we're going to have a look at how the developer programmed the game. Here's the code. As we scroll down, you will see the trail effect right here. He's doing the same thing that I did. He's setting the size to 70%. Then he's choosing to switch the clones to this costume right here, so that you no longer see the eyeball. Next he is changing the ghost effect by 5 and the size by -5. You don't have to change the size by -5. He prefers to. I don't. It can work with the square. I don't think it works very well with the Scratch Cat. It's entirely just up to you. And after everything else other than that is pretty much the same. After it repeats 20, it deletes the clone. And thank you for watching my tutorial.
Excuse me. I posted a project in the
sorry, I was muted
Mr.
there.
T that called Chirpy Reverie.
Yeah.
I posted the project, and yeah, you can try it out. It's got a trail effect.
Yeah,
Well,
let's
it's
have a look.
it's a little different actually. So you can give it a shot
Yeah, let's have a look
in
at
full
that.
screen.
So
It's just just press something.
yeah.
So run, like start at the left and then just keep running or something. And when you fast run, you saw it right there.
Yeah.
But run, like, actually restart it so you have more room.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Restart it, yeah. And then if you run for a few seconds, then you get like a trail effect.
Oh, I see. So it's keyed into your
You see
speed,
that?
eh? And the animation changes to a
Also,
bend and ever animation, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, and do a side flip.
How do you do the side flip?
So run and then turn around and jump. So run to the left and then turn around and then jump quickly.
I don't think I'm coordinated.
So keep running and then press the opposite direction and jump at the same time.
Oh, there we go. Oh, that's
There
cool.
you go. So he did a little trail effect. And when this came out, I thought at first that the trail effect was a little distracting. So when I went inside and tried to remove the trail effect, it looked far worse. So the trail effect really adds like I think it's a really good, how do I say it? It makes it look better.
Yeah, I would call it like a visual adornment, basically, just something that makes that adds a little bit of oomph and a bit more of a kind of professional look to your project. So it turned out it's not too hard to do, really. Just a little bit of cloning, and you got it working, eh? This one in this case is keyed into the speed, so I just think you need to take whatever the velocity variable is and have an if-else statement, probably, where if your speed reaches a certain amount, you do this, and otherwise you don't do it. But cool. Anyway, thanks for sharing that, Jim. That's another really good example of motion trails in action. Let me stop this project and get this music off of here. Sorry, who else wanted to talk? Deck, go ahead, buddy.
I've also seen glitch effect. does look cool. Like for intros and stuff like.
A glitch effect for intros. I'm not sure if I've seen that before. Why don't you share that with me, and maybe I'll show it to the audience later, or maybe in another episode. That's probably something we could probably do a tutorial off of as well, I would imagine. All right, guys. Super Gamer is with us on YouTube. I'm a Scratch noob, so I will watch. Not much else there. Okay, so got a couple more things I want to show you today. Firstly, or next up, we were on the topic of platformers, so I wanted to show you a funny little digital story about platformers. Kevin, one of our co-op students, I put him to work on an old segment that we were doing last school year called Story Corner, which is basically where we take an example of a digital story in Scratch. And so digital stories being, rather than having a game, a project where someone just tells a funny little story and animates it, and you just sit and watch it rather than interacting with it. Scratch is really great for this, and I think digital storytelling is a really awesome tool, particularly for school. You can use it to show you what you've learned in almost any subject area, and do all kinds of school projects off of it. So if you're studying ancient Egypt, you can do a little story where the pharaoh is talking to a slave or something like that, and actually convey what you've learned about ancient Egypt by having characters move around the screen. So it's something I would suggest. I want to do a little bit more about digital storytelling in future years, but in future tutorials. Anyway, so Kevin has taken over this digital story corner segment. He's going to be coming out with one every year why do I keep saying year? Every, hopefully every episode or every couple of episodes for us. So I'm going to show you his first one. I picked, he actually did two of them, but I picked this one because it had to do with platformers, which of course is what we're looking at today. So let me show this little clip for you right now.
Hi everyone, welcome to Story Corner. My name is Kevin, and today we're going to take a look at a short animation called Platformer, made by a scratcher called CoolNick XD. Without further ado, let's get started. One thing that caught my attention was how he managed to make the square character glide in the animation. So let's take a look inside at how he did that. Most of the animation is dependent on a broadcast message called OB move. When this message is broadcasted, most of the code will start running and create the animation effects. The code that creates the smooth glide effect is right here. As you can see, this is a custom block that defines a block to do a smooth glide effect. The blue X and blue Y here are the coordinates of your current position. The red X and red Y here are the coordinates of your target position, which is where you want to go. This condition here is basically to repeat the following code until you reach your target position or when the values are all equal. The two blocks of code here are the core that creates the effect. Here you can see that it takes the red X, which is the target X position, and subtracts it by the blue X, which is your current X position, and then divides it all with the speed value. As you can see from this list, the number is increasing as you scroll down, but the difference between them is decreasing. The difference here is about 10 to 12, and the difference here is less than 1. You'll realize that this is a big difference. Here's what it looks like at a normal pace. Here's what it looks like at a slower pace. Here's why. In this case, we're starting at the position when x is 0 and y is 0. And we want to go to a position where x is 120 and y is still 0. Following this equation, we're going to take 120, which is our target x position, and subtract it by 0, which is our current x position. Then we will divide it by 10, which is our speed, and our answer will be 12. And now if you look at the list, you can see that the difference between the first and second numbers is 12. Remember that we started at 0, so the first number would be 0, and so the difference would be between 12 and 0, which is 12. The same logic applies to the y coordinates. You just replace the x number with the y number and do the math operation again. The last block here is just to make sure that it goes towards the target position. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more awesome Story Corner videos.
Darn it! I keep muting myself here. I have to mute when I'm showing these videos, otherwise things get doubled up in YouTube, and I'm constantly forgetting to do that. What I really need is a producer or something. I don't have.
Hello?
Sorry. Hi, Andy.
Yeah, you were muted.
Yeah, we figured that out already. Thank you. What I was just telling you guys that the reason for that is when I'm showing these little videos, I have to mute myself. Otherwise, there's an echo effect in the on the YouTube version of the video, and so I mute myself. But then I always forget to unmute myself. I really need a producer here, somebody pushing the buttons, because I've just got too much to do here running this whole broadcast on my own. So I'm gonna figure that out one of these days, and hopefully I'll get some help in here at some point so that I can not have to run all this stuff on my own. I apologize, and it's probably not the last time I'm gonna do it, guys. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, so as I was saying quietly, so this project just basically does a little bit kind of like a Roadrunner effect where you start off really, really quickly and then slow down. And all you have to do is just set a starting coordinate for your character and then use the smooth glide block here to say where you want to go. In this case, you can see my code. I've just set off a starting position in the bottom left here, and I'm just telling it to go up and to the right, and I've got a speed here, and the speed determines how fast it's going to move. So you can see I'm moving at a speed of 5 on the way up, and a speed of 3 on the way down. I can change those speeds around, and we can see how that affects the animation. Here's 10. So increasing the number actually slows down the animation. I'm going to go down lower here to 2. So
I call this tweening.
No, tweening generally, Grayson, applies to animations like onion skinning and animation and going between two different parts. I think the word you're looking for is easing. Is that what
This
you're
is
thinking?
basically like in easing.
Yeah, easing means doing an animation that's not smooth, that follows a curve where things are really fast at the beginning and then slow down, or vice versa, really slow and then speed up. And so generally it looks more realistic when you do motions that way. What were you going to say, Grayson?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. That.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Kind of like tween
Yeah, I
easing.
was just gonna wonder if you could make a block that's smooth. So this one's smooth gliding out. But what if you can make a block with smooth gliding in and out?
Yeah.
Right, like this cat is going from the bottom right to the top. So if it starts speeding up and then gets really fast and then slows down, right?
I bet you could
Like
do
a
that.
car.
I don't think it would be that difficult to modify this code to do that. I'd be interested in trying that out here. What I'd probably just have 2 different loops here and then have the equation reversed for the slowing down. I don't think I'm going to do it here live because you're just going to get stuck in a coding black hole here, and it's almost 11 o'clock already. So I'm going to not bother with that right now. Anyway, so this is really cool. I was just playing around with this morning, and I tried a different little bit of code here where while this is running, I'm also changing the Y coordinates. I've got a little jump broadcast here, and I want to see what that would look like as well. So the 2 events are happening simultaneously here because I'm using a broadcast, and then it just jumps right to the smooth glide. So let me show you what that looks like. It's not really the smooth jumping motion that I thought it would be, frankly, but I just wanted to see how that would look. I did another custom block with Jeffrey's help a little while ago that was jump to a certain location, and that to me looked much smoother. I just wanted to try that out and see what that looked like. All right, guys, so I think I have one more canned video I wanted to show you, and that was our Scratcher of the Week. Where did that go? Just a second here. Did that graphic up this week. So I've been wanting to show off the work of other people in the Scratch community. I'm trying to get more names and more student work in here. So I asked Aiden, one of my co-op students, to have a look, to pick a Scratcher and just do a little profile of his work. today. So he's produced a little report for you, and we're going to be putting one of these out every once in a while. It's just going to be a regular segment that I want to run on this show. So if you have a scratcher of the week who you'd like us to highlight, please let us know, and I'll put Aiden to work on it. So let me show you that video right now, and I promise I'm going to try hard to unmute this time. Here we go.
Hi, today I'll be talking about a very talented Scratcher that goes by the name of Relatable and some of their accomplishments. Scratch is a platform very well known for their games, but Relatable makes exclusively funny animations and creative art. Let me show you some examples. To give you an example of his funny animations, in this clip he takes a funny audio clip from a YouTube video and creatively animates it. Or here, where he takes an iconic clip from a popular TV show called The Big Bang Theory and makes a silly animation over it.
Penny. 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 What shall not, Bazinga?
But overall, I've really liked looking into his work and would suggest anyone with some time to kill to do the same. Thanks.
Darn it, I forgot to unmute. So here's Relatable's homepage here, in case you're looking, and he's done some really cool stuff. Ah! I promised I wouldn't mute myself this time, and I did again. Hanging my head in shame. It's just, there's just so many squirrels out there, so many things to distract me, guys. I apologize. So yeah, please have fun in the chat and make fun of me, because I probably deserve it. Anyway, so if you have a scratcher you'd like us to profile, please let us know. It should be someone who's at least reasonably prominent. We don't. If it's a kid with like 2 projects and 3 views, then that's probably not a good candidate. But if you have someone who's a fairly prominent scratcher who you'd like to show off the work of, let us know, and we'll get Aiden to work on it. All right, guys. So it is 11 o'clock and my brain is fried, and I've muted myself too many times today, so I think I'm just going to let it go at this point. So stay tuned for my Squid Game project being released this weekend. And yeah, Deck is saying we should be profiling some of Funny Animator Jim's projects, and that's a really good plan. I think we're going to do that. And there's also Super Cannon, who's also a great member. Jim says he hasn't done anything in a while. I think we might want to do Super Cannon, who's also a Chromeworks member who's quite prominent in the Scratch community. So we're going to do him in a future week as well. Okay, guys, that's it. I'm going to wrap up right now. I'm going to hang around in the chat on Discord a little bit and talk to some people. But otherwise, I'm going to have to sign off. I'll be back next week with part 3 of my Squid Game tutorial. And who knows what other kind of mischief we'll get into. There will probably be some more of me going when I forgot to mute myself, and I apologize in advance for all the shameful things I'm going to do in the future. So thanks, guys, and we will see